10 years ago, Felix and I stood before God and a courthouse clerk with one of our friends as our witness. We didn't have a wedding. There was no aisle, no reception, no elaborate plans. But what we did have was a covenant, a commitment. We made a decision to walk into the unknown, hand in hand, and build something that would last. And instead of investing in some big celebration, we invested in a business, one that would carry us through the next decade. And now, 10 years later, we are sitting in awe of everything that God has brought us through. We have been through fire, through favor, and through a lot of failure, and a whole lot of forgiveness. So today, we want to share 10 lessons that we have learned from the last 10 years of marriage. Now, these are things that we would tell our younger selves, and maybe they'll encourage you to. So jumping into lesson 1, love is a choice, and especially when it feels easier to give up. There are moments in marriage when giving up may feel easier than doing the work, but love is a choice on day 1 that you keep making time and time again. Because the butterflies, they don't always last, but covenant love, that's rooted. That's Ruth saying, where you go, I will go. That's Hosea loving through betrayal. It's choosing each other over and over and over, even on the days, and especially on the days that it's hard. Lesson 2, every marriage will be tested. And that's not always a bad thing. We've walked through seasons where life has tested us, where God has tested us. We've had financial stress, we've had parenting challenges, we've walked through grief together. But so many stories in the Bible remind us that the test is part of the testimony. Abraham was tested. Joseph was tested. Even Jesus was tested. And when we let those seasons refine us instead of divide us, our marriage got stronger. Not perfect, but stronger. Lesson 3, it's not about equal giving, but it is about equal sacrifice. There were many seasons where one of us had more to give than the other. And that's okay. Whether it was time or energy or emotional bandwidth, marriage is not always 50-50. But what we have learned is that we both give all that we have in each and every season. Like the woman with the alabaster jar, her offering wasn't fair, but it was beautiful. And marriage requires that kind of wholehearted sacrifice. Lesson 4, don't lose yourself in marriage. God still sees you. Now, there are seasons in marriage where you may have to lay things down for the greater good. You compromise, you shift, you pivot, you sacrifice. But I truly believe that God honors even the smallest desires of your heart. And just because you're married, it doesn't mean that you stop becoming. Jesus said, whoever loses their life for my sake will find it. We are meant to die to self, not to each other. Your identity in Christ matters, and anything that you feel like you're losing for compromise, He will restore in the right time. Lesson 5, marriage is your first ministry. Do not serve from an empty cup. This one is so personal. You cannot serve others well if your house is broken. In 1 Timothy 3 verse 5, it says that if somebody can't manage their own household, then how can they care for God's church? We have learned this the hard way, that we need to care for each other first, that our marriage is our first ministry. If what we're doing for God is costing our peace with each other, then it's definitely time to come back to the altar and ask Him to reorder our steps. Lesson 6 is that we always give each other the benefit of the doubt. Instead of judging each other's actions, we will always try to judge the intention. We don't always get it right, but it's the choice to see the best in your spouse instead of assuming the worst. This changes the tone of every interaction. We call each other up, not out. And it doesn't mean that you're avoiding hard conversations, but it does mean that you are holding space for grace. Lesson 7 is to raise up the next generation with purpose. Lion, our son, is the best of both of us truly. And we stand by this verse in Proverbs 22:6 that says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. That is the assignment. Lion loves Jesus. He loves worship. He loves to be bold. He's joyful. He's kind. He's also spiritually sensitive. And that didn't happen by accident. It's the fruit of intentional parenting, of intentional prayer, and of presence. Lesson 8 is that self-awareness is a spiritual practice. I've had to learn how much my temperament impacts my home. We're all curators of environments, and what I am internally carrying, whether it's stress or fear or frustration, it doesn't just stay inside. It affects my husband. It affects my son. Just because someone can endure what you're going through, it doesn't mean that they should have to. So self-awareness is a part of loving your spouse well. Lesson 9 is that growth is holy, so don't fight it. I got married in my early 20s and now I'm in my mid 30s and I am a completely different person. I thought I was strong back then, but now I have a whole new kind of strength and grace. And marriage in itself, it's a constant evolution where people start and they don't end the same way that they started. And that is a beautiful thing. The sacrifice that it takes to grow with somebody is holy ground. And lesson 10 is that it is all worth it. I'm going to read you a verse in Galatians 6, verse 9, and it says, let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. And that is what this last decade has been, a sowing season. And now we are starting to see the harvest. Every hard conversation, every prayer, every sleepless night, it all matters. And God has been faithful. He has been so faithful. You know, we may not have had a wedding, but we built a legacy. We got married at the courthouse. We had one witness, we eloped, all of that, right? But what we did do was invest every single dollar into our business, and that business is the same space that we've actually just moved out of. It's where we built our life, is where we've hosted billion-dollar brands, welcomed thousands of people. It's where people have seen salvation and community, and it's where the years of sacrifice have happened. And no one saw the years of sacrifice. No one saw the hard days in our loft, the long nights when the AC broke. But we built something from the ground up, and we wouldn't trade it for anything. And to my husband, Felix, thank you. Thank you for teaching me how to be resilient, how to finish what I start, how to stay the course. Thank you for bearing with me through growing pains and giving me grace as God broke off entitlement. You know, I didn't grow up with struggle. My parents came from humble beginnings in Tanzania, and they worked so hard to give us comfort. So I had to learn how to be uncomfortable, to break the fragility and to build character. And you've been patient through it all. And do I still love a soft life? Of course. Who doesn't? But what matters more is who I am becoming. And you have helped me become a woman of strength and joy, of grace and of grit. So thank you for seeing me not at my lowest, but at my potential, and never letting me settle, and for loving me like Jesus. And to the ones watching, whether you are single or you're dating or you're 10 years into marriage like us, I just want to remind you that God is faithful. And your love story, it doesn't have to be perfect to be holy. Your partnership doesn't have to look like anyone else's to be powerful. Just do the work. Just keep God at the center. Just forgive quickly, speak life, and choose love daily. Because you're not building for now, you're building for legacy. And until next time, let's love more, and I'll see you at the next PSA. 10 years of marriage. I am so grateful, so honored. It feels like a decade went by in a second. If you enjoyed our story and you found joy and help and insight from this video, definitely share it with the first person that comes to mind. We have an entire playlist that Felix and I have created for you and those in your life. Share it with the first person that comes to mind every time, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.